Oh, guess what time it is, guys? I got me pen out. Look at it moving around. Okay, so folks, what we're going to do here is there's 9 Enlightenment philosophers, classical liberal versus classical conservatives here that we need to talk about. We're going to do them chronologically. The first big two we're going to look at are Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. So what we're going to do in this quick video is explain Thomas Hobbes and sort of the essence of his philosophy. And we'll talk about why he's important. Let's move on. There we go. So, Thomas Hobbes, he said that in nature, people were cruel, greedy, and selfish. Now, guys, talking about nature here, this nature that Hobbes is talking about is the state of nature, right? This nature that Hobbes is talking about is the state of nature. And what is the state of nature, Mr. Crosby? This is life with no government. So this is life with no government. My apologies. Technology is great when it works. So in nature, people were cruel, greedy, and selfish. So Hobbes, ladies and gentlemen, had a very negative. So he had a very negative view on human nature. He believed that people were generally pretty nasty, and in the state of nature, people would fight, rob, and oppress one another. Now, why would that be, Mr. Crosby? Well, there's no government, there's no authority. If there's no authority, you can do whatever you want. And if you can do whatever you want, is it possible that people would do some pretty terrible stuff? Yes. That's exactly what is possible. So they would fight, they would rob, they would oppress one another. So guys, in the state of nature, Hobbes called it war of all against all. Okay, so this state of nature is a state of war. Oops. My apologies. It is a state of war. I should say war, W-A-R. It's a state of war where basically you fight to survive, and he with the bigger stick basically gets what they want. So doesn't sound very fun, does it? Now, why did Hobbes believe this? Okay, well guys, look, Thomas Hobbes, he wrote during the backdrop of the English Civil War, right? The English Civil War was an attempt to try to limit the power of the English king. It was individuals who were against the king, right, who didn't want the king in power, versus individuals who wanted to keep the king in power. And basically, guys, what happened is during the English Civil War, government broke down and people were killing each other. And Hobbes said, whoa, look at this. This is what happens when government doesn't keep order. So as a result, guys, Hobbes, his theory, his view on human nature, saying that humans are generally not great, right? He has a very negative view, as mentioned right here. This all comes down from his experiences, his life in terms of what happened in it. So, guys, bottom line is this. State of nature, we want to avoid it, right? We want to avoid the state of nature. So to escape the state of nature, what do humans do? We enter something or into something known as the social contract. And in the social contract, guys, what happens is we give up freedom and we get order. Okay, so we give up freedom and we get order. Hobbes argued that true freedom, like in the state of nature, is actually a chaos, because in a truly free society where there's no government, where we don't have limits on what we can do, basically people can act upon their own selfish impulses. And again, would some pretty terrible things happen if people are able to do whatever they want? Well, of course they would. So in order to avoid the state of nature, we enter into this thing called the social contract. Guys, a contract is where you give up something and you get something in return. What do we give up? We give up freedom. And what do we get in return? Order, predictability, and security, these things that humans generally want. Because in the state of nature, guys, if you're sitting there and you have food and you're chewing on a nice big hunk of, I don't know, deer leg or something that you caught while out in the world, I'm going to come behind you as you're eating that deer leg, and I'm going to take a giant rock and I'm going to crush your head with it, and you're going to die, and then I'm going to sit there and eat. So, guys, the social contract is our path to security. It's the path to order. And Hobbes argued that the social contract is absolutely imperative. Now, guys, there's many social contract theorists here in Social 30. Hobbes is one. John Locke, as you'll see, is another. And then there's this guy named Jean-Jacques Rousseau who will talk about that we generally attribute the idea of the social contract to. However, guys, just understand this idea of give up and get in return. Think of it like a car, right? When you enter or when you buy a car, you enter into a contract, right? You give up money every month and you get that car in return. So Hobbes believed, guys, that a powerful government, like an absolute monarchy, was the best thing for society. Now, why? Well, again, think about what he witnessed, right? He witnessed civility and order prior to the English Civil War, and then he witnessed what happened when you tried to take down a king, right? Hobbes argued that the English Civil War was basically what would happen if we return back to that state of nature. So Hobbes argued that a powerful government like a monarch, like an absolute monarch, right? Like a king, was the path to order in society. And he would compel order and obedience and suppress rebellion. Now, how could he do this? Well, guys, according to Hobbes, this individual who was the absolute monarch, he was a Leviathan. He was all-powerful and he was everywhere, okay? All-powerful means, or the term we associate with this is the idea of omnipotent. So that means all powerful. So this omnipotent Leviathan, and I'll show you the Leviathan in a sec, this omnipotent Leviathan, this all-powerful individual, would compel order through fear. What happens if you try to mess with the predictability and happiness in society? Well, the Leviathan, this absolute monarch who was all-powerful, who was omnipotent, would come and squash you like a bug, right? That's exactly what would happen. Now, let me show you what the Leviathan looked like. All right, guys, so on your screen now, this is the Leviathan. This is that individual that Hobbes advocated for. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but let me explain kind of what's going on here. So on one hand, he has his royal staff, right? He is a king, and you see the crown on his head here. And in his other hand, he has a sword. Now, look at the size of the Leviathan, right? This monarch relative to the village underneath him that he is the king of, right? The land that he is the protectorate of. So this king, guys, as he is watching over his village, when he sees little Johnny over there stealing from someone, again, what does he do? Squashes them, right? So ultimately, guys, this Leviathan, this king, this absolute monarch, compels order in society through fear of punishment. Now, it's worth noting also that, I mean, just look at his size, right? That's this omnipotent individual. The chainmail that he's wearing is made up of the souls who tried to test him in the past. It's kind of hard to see, but those are actually people, those little lumps that are on him, right? Those are the people who tried to test the Leviathan, but in the end, they failed. All right, so let's keep going here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep going. So that's Thomas Hobbes there, right? So what does he say about you? He says you suck. He says that you can't be trusted. As a result, we absolutely need to have a Leviathan, such as in the image that we just saw, in order to rule over you. So what else should we know about Thomas Hobbes? Again, that book he wrote, right, called Leviathan. You probably want to know that, right? It's worth knowing. When you know stuff here in Social 30, you are appearing smarter than someone who doesn't, right? And ultimately, guys, Hobbes is important today because Hobbes's theory has been used to justify absolute power in government. What are we talking about here? Guys, Hobbes is basically the philosophical justification for totalitarian government. And today, guys, we call that dictatorship. So people who are believers in dictatorship believe in Hobbes's theory that certain people should rule over us, and your job is not to question but to follow. And yeah, his view on human nature was negative or pessimistic. So again, going back slide here, right, he says you suck. And guys, Hobbes said that without the Leviathan, again, in that state of nature idea, life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. It doesn't sound good. And again, why did he believe this? English Civil War. People running around killing each other all in the name of democracy. Hobbes is like, fine, if that's what democracy or trying to limit the power of the king looks like, no thanks. I will keep a nice, orderly, predictable, totalitarian monarchy, an autocratic society, because it just is better. When people get dangerous ideals of freedom, freedom then becomes the road to tyranny in society. It becomes the road to chaos. It becomes the road to people killing each other. So that's Thomas Hobbes. Yay. Okay. Yeah, guys. In the next video, we're going to check out our friend John Locke, the anti-Hobbes. Okay. As always, peace. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.